Hey, how you doing? My name is Roger Grimes. In this video, I'm going to share with you a sample of my next book. I'm writing a book called 12 Principles for Greater Influence. This is a book I've been writing for over 10 years. 10, 12 years now. I put it down, picked it up, but this time I'm finishing it. I have about 3 more chapters left, but I'm sharing with you the first chapter. I put it in audio so you can hear it and enjoy the clips that I'm putting with this. I'm just going to share random videos with my family and my dogs and nature, all that good jazz. So check it out. Let me know in the comments what you think of this chapter. And tell me if you're excited to hear the rest of the story. Alright, I'll talk to you later. 12 Principles for Greater Influence. Chapter 1. $1 Million Goal. $1 Million Character. Let me share the story on how we have arrived at this point of having these 12 life and leadership principles becoming this book. I grew up in a family that always fought. My parents always argued, and us kids would bicker among each other, but stick together when we would have issues with the way our parents would act with one another, as well as when my dad would act like a man-child towards us. My dad was not a bad man, but he was immature when it came to feelings and relationships, and my mom was a loving person with a wall of hatred that would sometimes block her loving side. Both my parents had many childhood issues that resulted in their dysfunction. Due to the lack of self-esteem and negativity, both of my parents had been holding on to their past emotional pain, keeping them both from shining with the special gifts and talents they were blessed with. Our family never had a lot of money and had a hard time paying bills like rent and utilities due to a bad financial plan. Needless to say, I never was taught the skills I needed to learn to have a balanced financial life, as well as to lead a functional family. I did not want to be like my parents in the matter of having a hard time expressing their feelings in a positive manner and letting their past dictate their present and future. I did end up picking up the best of both of my parents, as well as some bad habits. I met my wife in late 1997 or early 1998, but we started dating in April of 1998. She had 3 kids, all boys, ages 10, 5, and 4. We started seeing each other more often, and I began spending time with the kids also. We got married in June of 2002, and I opened my karate dojo school in October 2002. I was 27 years old with a new family and business, as well as having a full-time job as a manager of a family restaurant. My plate was full. When I was turning around 30 years old, I was thinking about my life and what I have and have not accomplished, and where am I going from here? I thought about the fact that I have become a husband, father, leader, as well as a mentor. Since I still had my own issues and some that were passed down from my parents, I remember that I did not want to run my household like them. I also did not want to let my mess dictate the way I lead my staff at the restaurant. I also did not want to mentor my karate students with my mess seeping into my teachings. I concluded that I needed to better myself for my family first, and thought that it would also benefit the influence I had on others at work and karate. Now with this plan to improve myself for those around me, I also set a goal to earn $1 million in 5 years. I had this thought that if I raised my bank account, that would better the quality of life for my family. That was in 2005. And as I write this book, it is March 2022. Now it is 17 years later, and I did not come close to reaching my goal of $1 million. Heck, I even found myself in debt to the point that I almost lost my house. I knew I needed to improve myself, and part of me thought that by improving my bank account, that would improve me. I never had much money and did not realize how much work my character needed. Now I know how much more important self-improvement is than a large bank account. Good character has greater influence than lots of money. My big financial opportunity has arrived, so I thought. One of the long-time customers at the restaurant I was managing started to talk to me about a side business opportunity that I could do in my spare time. This surprised me because this customer never spoke much over the years he has been coming into the restaurant. He gave me some information on this company to look over. I gave it a few weeks and then talked to him about this opportunity. This was a multi-level marketing company, or some would call it a pyramid scheme. Many multi-level marketing companies are schemes, as the product or the service is overpriced and is just a way to make lots of money from those who are distributors. But this company has been a good company, who was even publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. I tried out this company and did good for the first month or so, but found out that I really did not like this kind of business, having to go out trying to get new customers and a downline to build my team. But that gentleman who introduced this company to me also introduced the world of motivational speakers and self-improvement, which I was seeking self-improvement, and this pointed me into the right direction. I stayed with the company for over a year paying for the services for myself because I believed and have used the services even though I did not sell the service very often in that time. I am grateful for that opportunity because I received two important things from this company. 1, a friend. 2, direction for my life. After several years of listening and reading things by some of the best motivational speakers and life coaches, I began changing a little bit at a time for the better. I was reading things on finances and how to earn money. But one of the motivational speakers said, if you are looking for leadership skills, read the Bible. There's lots about leadership in the Bible. I was also seeking leadership skills at that time, so I did pick up the Bible. I have always believed in God and Jesus, but I did not live a godly life, let alone study the ways of God. I thought on how I am reading about seeking money, but I have never read the Bible. The only Bible I had was an old Catholic mantle Bible from the 1970s that my mom gave me. It was huge. I prayed for the first time in years for God to guide me on where to start reading. Then I opened to 1 Samuel. I wanted to start in the story of David and Goliath since I have always related to that story when I was a kid. Not knowing that the story of David and Goliath is in 1 Samuel, I started to read and discovered that is where that story resides. I felt a connection with God and that He was guiding me. Then I began to pray more often. Now I was at the point of still studying different motivational speakers as well as studying the Word of God. This part of my life I realized seeking $1 million is not that important anymore. But the seeking of oneself and improving oneself takes top priority. I know that God was using this self-improvement seeking I was doing to bring me closer to Him and lead me into my next role of serving in the church and passing wisdom via my writing and public speaking. I know some of you are reading this book and may not want to hear about God, Jesus, or church, but this is my story, and it is important to the making of this book. I do know many of the Christians who know me are looking for me to write a full-out Christian book, but this book is written for everyone. I will be writing a book called 12 Principles for Greater Influence, Ministry Edition, as well as other Christian books. But I wanted to start my writing from where I began, and that is the motivational and inspirational route, but not hiding the fact that I became a born-again Christian through this journey. It was around Christmas time when I started listening to a local Christian radio station, because they would play Christmas music continuously up until Christmas. I would listen to this station on my way home from teaching karate. They played a show called The John Tesh Radio Show, and there was a section titled Intelligence for Your Life. On his show, John Tesh would talk about different things that could improve your life. Could it have been by chance I was looking to better myself and life that I would find this radio show? I would still listen to John Tesh's show after the Christmas music would stop, and then the Christian music started to get into my spirit. And I was still reading the Bible daily and praying more often, but I wasn't looking for a church. My son went to a friend's church when he was about 15 years old and came home, then told me that he got saved. I told my son, great. Now still, not understanding what it really meant to be saved, I bought him a Bible. Yet, still wasn't looking for a church. About a few weeks later, my son asked to go to the Word Church, which a friend of ours was attending there. And that is where my wife and I joined the church and became born again in 2007. At this church, my pastor was speaking my language of improving oneself via the Word of God, drawing us closer to God. I began in ministry around 2008, and that changed me for the better once again. Where did the idea for 12 Principles for Greater Influence come from? It all started when I wanted to have a good moral principle-based teaching added to my youth karate program. I thought about it and came up with 12 leadership principles comprised from all the motivational principles and biblical principles for life that I learned. I called it leadership principles at the time. I started to teach these principles in the youth karate class, one principle each class. I never thought this would become a book until a few years later. Then I started to write this book over 10 years ago. I put it down several times because I did not think I was ready to write this book, because I needed to work on these principles myself a little more. I still taught these principles to the kids and let them know honestly, I still need to work on these also, so I will work on them with you. Then I started to write again and took another break because it was grueling trying to maintain my stupid busy schedule I had made for myself. This break was longer than I planned, but I started to write again, just to put it down for another book idea. I put that book idea down and wrote my first book. That is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Kindle, Audible, and many other places. My book is called Lessons from the Cage, Life Lessons from MMA. That is about the life lessons I learned from full contact MMA cage fighting, and many of the lessons from my fighting experience have been learned because of the principles in this book. I am now finally finishing this book. As I started my self-improvement journey with that $1 million goal, I put that aside to seek $1 million character. My finances have become better since I chose to switch my focus from money to character. I am sure that I will someday reach $1 million, but if I don't, I have received much greater than that. I have a better relationship with my family. I have become a mentor and a source of wisdom for others, which leads me to a greater influence. Even though I may have titled some of the principles different than I originally chose and changed the order of them several times, they are sound principles to help your life as well as build you to help others in their life. The next 12 chapters will be these principles. Enjoy the journey and get the most from this book to improve whatever you desire.